It's 1603. The Tokugawa Shogunate has just begun, and in the frozen wilderness of Edo, what we now call Hokkaido, someone is drawing maps that could mean power, wealth, or death. But who were these cartographers really?
Welcome to Brother Board Plays, your home for war stories and history. If you don't want to miss out on the future videos, smash that like button, hit that bell icon, and subscribe to the channel. Let's dive in.
In Ghost of Yotei, Sucker Punch introduces us to Isaburo, a cartographer with a backstory that sounds almost too perfect. He spilled tea on the wrong lord and got exiled to the middle of nowhere. Now, he's making copies of maps for our protagonist, Atsu, revealing hidden shrines, treasures, and altars of reflection across the landscape. It's a brilliant game mechanic. Buy a map, unlock locations, find collectibles. Simple, elegant, and it fits the open-world formula we all love. But here's the real question. Is any of this historically accurate? Were cartographers really wandering the wilds of Hokkaido in 1603, selling treasure maps to ronin? The answer is complicated. Let's travel back to the real Edo period. From 1603 to 1868, Japan became what scholar Sugimoto Fumiko called a mapped society. Cartography wasn't just a hobby. It was studied alongside mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. Maps were everywhere, but they served very different purposes than the ones Isaburo sells you in the game. The Tokugawa Shogunate understood something crucial. Knowledge is control. Starting in 1644, the government ordered massive multi-year mapping projects. Provinces across Japan were commanded to create detailed maps showing boundaries, roads, mountains, rivers, and most importantly, rice output. Why rice? Because rice meant wealth, and wealth meant power. These weren't tourist maps. They were instruments of governance and taxation. But here's where it gets interesting for Ghost of Yotei's setting. In 1603, Edo, modern-day Hokkaido, was a complete enigma to Japanese mapmakers. It wouldn't officially become part of Japan for another 265 years. Early maps literally showed the Matsumai domain as a separate floating island, not even connected to Edo. That's how little the Japanese understood about the region. Yet the shogunate was deeply interested in this frozen frontier. Edo was rich with marine resources, herring, salmon, fur-bearing animals. Accurate maps of this region could mean controlling vast economic wealth. But in 1603, those maps simply didn't exist yet. The most famous Japanese cartographer, Inō Tadataka, didn't even begin his legendary survey of Japan until the late 1700s, nearly 200 years after Ghost of Yotei is set. And when he finally surveyed Edo, it was still described as an untamed wilderness inhabited by Ainu tribes. Inō's mission to Edo wasn't about finding treasure. It was scientific. He needed to measure the distance between Edo and the northern island to calculate Earth's meridian arc. This was serious, government-sponsored work, not a side hustle for exiled nobles. And here's the kicker. Those official maps the shogunate commissioned, they were state secrets. The government kept them hidden from the Japanese public. You couldn't just walk up to a cartographer and buy one. Maps were tools of power, not commodities for sale. So, did Sucker Punch lie to us? Not exactly. What they got right is cartography was absolutely valued in Edo period Japan. Maps served strategic and economic purposes. The shogunate did commission provincial surveys for territorial control. The profession was real, respected, and important. What they creatively interpreted is that in 1603, Edo was poorly understood and essentially unmapped by the Japanese. The idea of a professional cartographer creating detailed treasure maps for individual travelers is completely anachronistic. And those maps definitely weren't for sale to wandering ronin. The treasure map mechanic in Ghost of Yotei is exactly what it appears to be. A gameplay convenience wrapped in a historically plausible profession. Think of it this way. Isaburo the cartographer is like if Sucker Punch took a real historical job and gave it a video game makeover. Cartographers existed, maps were crucial, but the specific implementation, buying maps that reveal hidden shrines and collectibles, that's pure game design genius, not historical accuracy. And honestly, that's perfectly fine. Ghost of Yotei isn't a documentary. It's an experience that uses history as inspiration to tell a compelling story and create engaging gameplay. So next time you buy one of Isaburo's maps, appreciate it for what it is. Sucker Punch's creative bridge between historical authenticity and the open world mechanics we love. Now the real question is, What other historical liberties is Ghost of Yotei taking? Let me know in the comments what you want me to investigate next.